Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Deja Vu here. This is going to be the final match from the MSL Group C, as we get another look here at the intro, which was very, very cool. And yeah, look at that. That's a pretty cool intro for the round of 32. There's Bisu. Saw Stork there earlier. Saw a couple shots of C, I think. That was 2 or maybe even 3 shots of C. Looks like they are a big fan of C. I wonder why. MBC, MSL, MBC Game Hero. Conspiracy much? No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't really matter. It's just a promo video. But here we go. This is going to be Ruby versus Harang 2. Harang 2 winning that last game of PvZ. And now he's going to have a second shot at Ruby. Ruby winning the first game after Harang 2. All of his early tech and harassment just didn't do anything. He hid DT tech. He went with Reavers. He went with Shuttle DT. Nothing was doing. And Ruby, with some good scouting skills, was able to fend it off and ended up guiding himself to victory, though he did end up losing in the winners match against Zero in what was easily the most entertaining game of the group so far. We'll see if this can live up to the that winners match. That winners match was awesome. That really was a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that Ruby can entertain us once again with a fantastic game. Looks like we're not going to have any proxy here, at least initially, from Harang 2. Fly up in the sky, shining more brightly, fighting Ruby. That's been his, actually, like his calling card, that little banner. They've had that for a while. I think a couple months they've actually been doing that. I wonder if there's like a story behind that. Well, I guess Air Force Ace flying. I don't know. That's all I got. Other than, yep, that's all I really got. So I'm hoping that maybe there's something else to that other than that he's an Air Force Ace, but, you know. Looks like we're going to have pretty normal play here to start out with. We have a gateway already up. If there's a gas coming up very, very shortly, we'll have really standard play going on. And Harang, too, sending that probe out in the proper direction. It looks like. Actually, he's going cross position. Look at that. This is circuit breaker, so he is going cross position, checking for proxies or something. And I don't know. I guess he thought that there was proxies, or it could be proxies from Ruby. And I can't remember the last time. I'm trying to think. The last time Ruby did like a real actual cheesy build or went with really like proxy heavy build. I'm trying to think, and I honestly can't remember the last time he's done that. I'm sure he has. I mean, every player has. Every single programmer has. I just can't remember a time when he has. Well, that's that. And it's just not his MO, and now his scouting pattern is taking him completely the wrong way. Harang 2 going bottom right first, now he's going top right, and then he's going to have to go cross back to bottom left. So he's going to be way behind, and there is a cybernetics core, so that Zealot is going to go harass, it is going to go try to harass, and it's going to go straight to the bottom left. So that'll at least the Zealot is going to head in the right direction, because there's really nowhere else for it to go. So he must be going for that Zealot harassment, so he's looking to get his Zealot there first, so that's why he went cross position. So if he's going to go for that Zealot harassment, it heads in the correct direction as early as possible. With that probe going bottom right and then going top right, if that probe found it, then that Zealot would have the proper direction to go. Ruby does know this is coming once again though, so he should be prepared for this. Should have SCVs ready to guard for his Marine, and his Marine has actually decided to go into this little hole that he's created. That's a great defensive spot for his Marine. And will that SCV go down? It is going to be forced to run away. And now that Zealot looking to try and do some damage. And so far this harassment hasn't done anything for Harang 2. And he's just going to back off. He does not have a Bisu inside. The inner Bisu does not exist. Let's take that Zealot actually. This Zealot back at home picked off the SCV. But there is no inner Bisu for Harang 2 to win basically off of pure Zealot harassment, which is what Bisu did to Flash on Aztec, which was just super cool. But of course that was a 1-rack CC build. There was no factory coming up early, and yeah. It was just a very different circumstance that Bisu was able to pull that off. Very cool circumstance, not to take anything away from Bisu, especially considering how awesome that game was. That was awesome. But yeah, and this Zealot's going to get picked off by Vultures, and hopefully he turns the other Zealot around, because if it wanders in there, it's just going to die as well. And the Zealot's wandering. Why? Why is the Zealot wandering in? It's just going to die. Oh, there's a Dragoon in play. Nice. There's a Dragoon as well. I thought he was leaving the Dragoon at home, but now the Vulture actually kind of has map control. It's kind of weird right now with this battle going on here. Because that Vulture can wander around now, and for some reason that Vulture is taking a rather circuitous path to nowhere. Okay, so maybe Ruby thinks that there's more hidden tech, more proxies heading his way, so he's looking around for it perhaps a little bit here. There's a bunker in play as well, so he's going to be well defended. And what else we got going on here? Cyberknight core spinning for Dragoon range, natural expansion coming up, so is the expansion CC. So nothing too crazy here. Vulture going across the bottom of the map now. Ruby is very paranoid right now, really looking for possible proxies. Should check behind his mineral only. It looks like that's exactly where he's going. Checking to see if there's like a proxy robo there, which would be a good spot for it. If he was going for a proxy robo, that would be a very good spot for it. And but no, nothing going there. Horang's playing this one pretty close to the chest, pretty standard, and not doing anything too crazy. And that SCV is going to go down before getting any sort of a scout on. Doesn't know that the natural expansion is up yet. So he doesn't know if there is a Reaver coming his way or something like that. So he's just gonna have to. Ruby right now, I think, is gonna sit tight. It's both in his best interest and in his style to play pretty passively right now and defensively. Looks like that barracks is being lifted to produce a more effective and efficient wall for himself. Should have siege pretty soon, and he cancelled a building of some form and going for an academy. Maybe cancelled an engineering bay and went for the academy instead for scans? I don't know. Perhaps that's what it was. I can't tell what it is by the building size. There's the observatory. So her rank 2 playing this very, very normal, very, very standard. And we'll see what kind of if he's going to stick to this 2-base play, if he's going to go to the 3rd base, or if he's got some sort of 2-base play awaiting us. If he was going 2-base arbs, I would have expected to see a Citadel come down by now. So I don't think that's what it is. We could see it very, very shortly. Could see the Citadel. Otherwise, we will see a 3rd base and a 2nd gas. I heard a warp. There should be another tech building coming in there, and there is another pylon. So just working off 3 gateways here. Both players playing pretty, just building up. So we really don't have a good inkling on either of these players what their strategy is towards the mid game. I haven't seen like enough factories go down to say the timing of like a 4 or 5 stack push coming from Ruby. He's not going for anything like that. Her rank 2 doesn't look like he's going for 2-base arbs. Also doesn't look like he's going for a 3-base play yet. So we'll see what this is. Kind of an interesting position for these guys. There's the Citadel, so there we go, 7, there it is. So the Citadel is going up, so that'll be for speed, Templar Archives, and probably for arbs. I think that'll be the end result of that. Don't anticipate Harang going for carriers. It can be effective. This map is it's not a bad map for carriers with the number of hills and ridges and things, and the valleys that units can get stuck in. There's a lot of ramps, so carriers can be pretty good on this map. As long as you stay away from the middle of the map. You can't really cross the middle, but on the edges you are in pretty good shape, and yeah, it can be pretty effective if you decide to go carriers. Vulture is actually going across the top of the map looking to do some harassment. They are going to pick off 1 probe, and are they going to get into the main? There are some Dragoons waiting for them, and they are going to be able to fend them off. There aren't very many Dragoons there because the Dragoons have gone on the aggressive and looking to stop Ruby from taking a 3rd base. And Ruby, it looks like he's going to throw his command center up inside and then lift it into his mineral only, presumably, indubitably. And where is it? If he builds it, it looks like he's set up for it. Just hasn't thrown it up there. There it is. There's the command center, and he's going to lift that up to his mineral only whenever it's completed. Mine's starting to be laid down by Ruby now as well, but there are observers on the field, so as long as Harang is careful and keeps his observer in position, he should be in pretty good shape. There's the Templar Archives, the Stargate, the Forge. So we've got upgrades, we've got cannons, we've got Arbiters on the way. We could see High Templar with Storm on the way. We could see a shuttle loaded with High Templar or Zealot Bombs or both on the way. So lots of options right now for Harang 2 to mix up his force. And Ruby still working off of only 3 factories here, going for that early 3rd base, so he's not really blowing up his own SV because he trapped it. There's no point for it to exist, so he just kills it and saves up that extra 1 psi. But yeah, we still don't really know what Ruby's going for. He's going for that early 3rd base, so probably will be a very, very late push, a 2-1 or maybe even a 3-2 push coming from Ruby, if there is or actually by that point Harang 2 might actually end up being the aggressor in this game. It's always interesting in PvT to see who ends up being the aggressor, who ends up playing more of the defend the push position. It used to always be that Protoss was more aggressive, but it's changed over the last year or so, where Terrans with the particularly 4 and 5 fact pushes, and they've come out with a lot of good timing pushes. Terran has in terms of, and have really taken it to Protoss players in the mid game, and so that's why we've seen a lot of more defensive Protosses where they don't try and force the initiative outside of maybe holding off a third, outside of like trying to stop a third base. You don't really see Protosses being hyper aggressive in the mid game, and they generally play more defensive and wait for that push from Terran to come, and then try and defeat that push while they tech up to Arbiters or Templar and Storm or something along those lines. By the way, her rank 2 does have his natural, or not his natural, but his mineral only as well. So he is not falling behind on bases. Bases are even throughout the game right here. And there's a shuttle dropping DTs. Wow, I did not even anticipate that. There it is. And the shuttle picking up the DTs as soon as scan goes off. So there you go. There's some decent, a decent play. It hasn't really done too much yet, but he could go to this mineral only and drop all over it as well. And that is exactly what he's going to do. And I think he's trying to force some scans right now, more than anything else. I think he's trying to force Ruby to use some scans, and Ruby's not quite falling for it. He's trying to balance it, because if he uses too many scans, once Arbiters come out, even with 3 command centers, if he uses a bunch of scans here on fighting off these DTs, he could end up falling behind in terms of having scans available for the Arbiter play. He finds the command center that's going up. That would be the 4th command center, and I think he canceled that, yeah. I would think he can. Yeah, I think he canceled both of those buildings. Ruby did. So Ruby able to at least not lose all the money for it. And these DTs are doing their job, are being quite effective. A Goliath in play is going to usher that shuttle away. He's going to have to drop off the DTs. Yeah, does manage to drop them off before they die. And the DTs, are they going to pick off? They are going to get one Goliath, and then they spread, and the second DT is going to die as well. So both DTs go down. But still some decent harassment there in terms of forcing scans. It looked like he forced about 4 or 5 scans there to be used, and he should have Arbiters pretty soon. It is researching on the Tribunal, and there's the first Arbiter popping out at the 11:30 mark, so nice, very nice from her rank 2 right on time. And we'll see if he's going to get aggressive now, if he has to wait probably wait for his first stasis if he's going to get aggressive, and then push out and maybe try and go for that third base. Especially since Ruby has shown the fact that he wants to take a very quick 4th, I think that we could see Harang 2 decide to get a little aggressive off of this Arbiter. Harang 2 already does have his 4th up and running at the 12 o'clock base, just needs to Maynard it, so he will be up and running off of 4 base. We could really see Harang 2 get aggressive here off these 4 bases and start to really macro up and try and contain Ruby to these 3. Ruby finally throwing up a couple more factories. He has been operating on minimal factories right now, been teching, been getting his armory, his science vessels, presumably upgrades. All these things cost a lot of money, a lot of gas, and he's been choosing to do them very, very quickly rather than macro up an army. And we'll see if he ends up being having to pay for that at all. Here comes Harang with a little bit of an attack here on the edge of this ramp, and here he's looking to come down, and will there be a big stasis coming off? There is a nice stasis catching 3 tanks and the science vessel. And are there any zealots here? Zealots coming in from the backside, actually. A ton of zealots coming in here from the backside. Where did they come from? A ton of zealots coming in from the backside, and Ruby's going to lose this battle, but will he lose the war? He is going to lose all of these tanks, and he is going to lose his 3rd base. Is that going to be enough to knock him out? That is the question. GG coming from Ruby. Nothing else going. Ruby skipping hardcore on factories, and he is going to fall in this game. Nothing doing. Harang 2 wins, and he is going to advance into the round of 16 MSL. Ruby scratching his head, looking for answers, and, well, Ruby, there really aren't any. I mean, he just was skimping on units and factories, did not have a lot of them, and when that push came from Harang, Ruby just did not have enough, especially catching 3 tanks at that stage. That's like a 1/3 of his tanks, about-ish. So he lost basically a 1/3 of his firepower. Vultures barely count. And lost just so much of his firepower. He didn't have enough mines in strategic spots, and he wasn't able to block for the zealots that came in from the backside. It really caught him off guard. So there goes Ruby. Harang 2 wins the final match, advancing in the MSL. So 0 and Harang 2 are advancing. 0 is your 1 seed, Harang is your 2nd, and that's going to be it for this Group C. Next group will be Group D, Group of Death. As soon as I grab a hold of Varosh and strangle him and force him to do a dual commentary with me, I will physically force him into this dual commentary. But I will see you guys all later. Group D, Group of Death, will be the next thing I post. Bye.